Hey there, you guys. This is Jaden Pictures here. This is Jaden talking right here. And I got some. Okay, so today, some cartoon experience news, some new cartoon experience news came out with me today. I want to share that to you guys in this video. And that involves this Cartoon Network show, which came out in the late 2010s era called Craig of the Creek. And yeah, this show came out on Cartoon Network in the late 2010s era, like I've already said, and it currently has 4 seasons, and it's still currently ongoing. And yeah, guys, okay, so here's the thing, okay. So, do you guys remember when I did that 2010s Cartoon Network shows tier list, and I didn't rank Craig of the Creek in that video because, I haven't really seen that much of it. Like, to be more specific, not that I explained this that much in the video, but to be more specific, I think at the time when I made that tier list, this was all I saw of Craig of the Creek. I think I caught the end of an episode of it off of randomly off of TV one time, on the day after Adventure Time ended, but I can't remember anything that happened in that ending. And I also do remember seeing like really small YouTube footage of the show off of YouTube and whatnot. But yeah, up until today, that was pretty much my entire experience with Craig of the Creek. And I might have seen promos of it too on the Cartoon Network and stuff, but yeah, those are pretty much it. That was pretty much my entire experience with Craig of the Creek at the time. And yes, guys, I know that's probably pretty weird for someone like me because you guys know I'm a big fan of Cartoon Network. I love Cartoon Network. I grew up with Cartoon Network. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Cartoon Network, and and I know it might be pretty late. It might feel like really late to do a video that shares my thoughts so far on Craig of the Creek because this show isn't really that new at all. It came out on Cartoon Network. Well, it's still currently ongoing, but yeah, it's not really too new. Like it came out on Cartoon Network over 4.5 years ago, on March 30th, 2018. So yeah, it's not a very recently coming out show. It's been out for a while. I'm sure there's a bunch of people on YouTube who've done reviews and whatnot of Craig of the Creek. And yeah, but guys, I haven't really seen that much of it. Like I haven't really seen like a full episode of Craig of the Creek up until today. And yeah, I got to see some of Craig of the Creek today because after school, me and my little sister Josie went over to one of her friends' houses and yeah, she actually has cable at her house. So yeah, I was watching Cartoon Network off of there. So yeah, I got to binge on the Amazing World of Gumball for a bit. I got to binge on the Amazing World of Gumball for a bit, which was cool because you guys know how I love Gumball. And yeah, then after that, I played this Mario Party game, which came out last year on the Switch with Josie's friend's brother, and then the TV got switched back to normal TV, and I got to watch some of Craig of the Creek. Because it was airing off of Cartoon Network. I got to give it a watch. And what are my thoughts on it so far? So far from what I've seen of Craig of the Creek, what are my thoughts on it? Okay, so yeah, you guys are about to find out in this video. Okay, so how much of Craig of the Creek did I see today? Well, I saw a full episode of it. I saw a full episode of it, and then I saw like maybe a bit more than the second half of an episode of it. So yeah, I definitely don't have enough experience with the show to have an opinion on the entire show, you could say, but I still have somewhat of an opinion on it, and yeah, I do have an opinion on whether or not I think it's good, and yeah, I'm gonna share that right now in this video. Okay, so what episodes of Craig of the Creek did I watch of it earlier today? Well, this one episode called Craig of the Car, Craig of the Car, and it was basically an episode. It was basically an episode talking about like what it would be like if Craig's family had their own TV show and whatnot. It was also about Craig getting to be the ultimate backseat driver with his friends, and in the episode he basically bosses his brother around along with his friends, and they boss him around, tell him which places to go and all that stuff, and it drives him crazy. Yeah, it drives him crazy. He gets all annoyed by it, and that was pretty funny. And yeah, I do really like that one scene in the episode where they're all in the car. Oh, forgot to give a spoiler alert. Well, spoiler alert, guys. Spoiler alert. Although it's probably too late, but like I've said before on the channel, and I've said this phrase many times on the channel before, I don't think I really need to say it again. Let's just move on. Sorry for not giving a spoiler alert out sooner, but whatever. Okay. But yeah, there was this one funny scene where they're all in the car and, they're bossing the older brother around, telling him to go from place to place to get all these things. And that really drives him crazy. It really annoys him and whatnot. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty funny scene. I would like to go back to that scene in the episode again. That was a pretty funny scene. But apart from that, though, I thought the episode was pretty much apart from that, though, I didn't think there was like really any other scene in the episode that was truly that great. Although that scene in the car was pretty great though. It was pretty funny how the older brother was getting annoyed by all the orders and stuff from going from place to place. And the first place they went to was this place called Burger Queen, and it's pretty easy to tell that that's a parody of Burger King. Yeah, that was a nice parody. Yeah, that was a nice, clever parody they did, and I also like that because I remember hearing the name Burger Queen and seeing people use that to parody, seeing people like off of Google Images and stuff use that title to parody Burger King way before Craig of the Creek even existed. So yeah, that was cool. That was cool. I already imagined. I had already imagined them using that name in like TV shows and movies to parody Burger King, and yeah, I imagined right apparently. So yeah, but apart from that scene though in the car, no other scene in the episode was really that great to me. Not that any scene in the episode was bad. No, the rest of the episode's still good, but not as good as that one scene. That scene is pretty funny. Yeah, but apart from that one scene though, I don't really think the episode is worth rewatching. But it was a good watch though. I enjoyed it. It was a good, decent watch, and I enjoyed it. And I guess I'm glad I saw it. And yeah, what was the other episode I saw? Okay, now like I said earlier, this was the one I caught a bit more than the second half of, and this episode is one I definitely didn't like as much as the other. Although you could say that's a bit unfair to for me to say which episode is better between these two episodes, since I haven't even seen one of these two episodes in their entirety. But yeah, Children of the Dog. Yep, the other episode I saw of the show today was this one episode called Children of the Dog, and it was basically an episode about Craig wanting to get a dog throughout the episode, but no, his family wouldn't let him get a dog, and yeah, he really wants a dog throughout the episode, but at the end of the episode, he decides that he doesn't want a dog, and when he has his friends and whatnot, and that's nice. And yeah, I saw that episode. I thought it was okay as well. There wasn't really any scene in the episode that I found myself wanting to go back and rewatch. And I can imagine me having that opinion even if I were to have bothered watching this episode in its entirety before I started to make this video. But yeah, I didn't really see any scene in the episode that I would want to go back and rewatch or would consider to be worthy of watching. And yeah, I thought it was I thought it was an okay episode. Yeah, I thought this was an okay episode. It was also about like these other girls in a program and whatnot. And yeah, the episode. I thought the episode was okay. But not worth watching or worthy of rewatching. Yeah, and yeah, so far that's pretty much all I've seen of Craig of the Creek so far. Yeah, I'm sorry guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got too lazy. I was too much excited to do this video, and and yes, I would say that I was too lazy to watch more of the series before I started to make this video, but. Hey, this video is titled "My Thoughts on Craig of the Creek So Far." So far, because this is all I've seen of the show so far. Yeah, for what I've seen of Craig of the Creek, it's not great, but it's not a bad show though. It's good. It's enjoyable. It's got nice atmosphere. It's got decent character designs. It's got good voice acting. It's got cool characters, nice animation. It's a good show. I wouldn't recommend watching it. It's not a must-see. But it's a good show. It's decent, and yeah, I think if I were to put it on that tier list, I think if I were to have ranked it on the tier list, I probably would have put it at B tier. That's so far the rating I give the show, B tier. To be honest with you guys, I don't think I've seen like any Cartoon Network show, any like late 2010s Cartoon Network show that I consider to be like possibly even A tier, or at least S tier, definitely. Not S tier, although I did used to really like Total Dramarama. I don't even know if that counts as a Cartoon Network original, but yeah, like I said before on the channel, I did used to really like Total Dramarama, and that also came out in 2018. But then as I kept watching more of it, I started to think that the show was bad, cringy, and boring, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I really hate Total Dramarama. I love the rest of Total Drama. I love Total Drama, but I don't like Total Dramarama. Total Dramarama is pretty cringe. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Definitely wouldn't recommend it. Maybe unless if you're like a really, really hardcore Total Drama fan. But yeah, I don't love Total Dramarama. I don't like Total Dramarama anymore, so I wouldn't count that. Yeah, I don't think I would really consider like any Cartoon Network show like at least past the early I probably wouldn't consider any Cartoon Network show at least past the early 2010s era to be great. To be honest with you guys, even though I'm a big fan of Cartoon Network. Even though I'm a big fan of Cartoon Network and I love Cartoon Network, I love and there's a lot of Cartoon Network shows I really like, and I love shows like like early 2010 shows like Adventure Time, Regular Show, Gumball, the Looney Tunes Show, and apart from like the stuff in the 2010s, I also really like Ed and Eddie and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Those shows are pretty fire too. But yeah, like I don't think there's any great Cartoon Network show I've seen that's probably like past the 2010s era. There's definitely no Cartoon Network show that I consider to be S tier. But so far from what I've seen of the late 2010s Cartoon Network, I don't think I've seen any show that really reaches at being the level of A tier, or like at least S tier. But to be fair, I definitely haven't seen every late 2010s Cartoon Network show ever. I definitely haven't seen every Cartoon Network show that came out past the early 2010s era. Like I haven't seen I've always seen like very small YouTube footage of the show called Meow Meow, the Pure Heart Heroes, or whatever the heck that show's called. I'll just call it Meow Meow for short. But yeah, I've seen like small YouTube footage of Meow Meow so far, and yeah, I haven't exactly seen it. But so far from what I've seen of it, it looks like a decent show. It doesn't look like a show I'd fall in love with, but it looks like a decent show. It looks like a good show. Like I wouldn't mind it if I had to watch it, but it doesn't look like a show. It look like a show I'd want to go out of my way to give it a try one of these days. But I can still imagine me wanting to give it a try one of these days. But at least as of right now, yeah, not too interested in giving Meow Meow a try. But yeah, guys, like the late 2010s Cartoon Network shows I've seen, that the Cartoon Network shows that came out past the early 2010s era, like OKKO and Apple and Onion and Craig of the Creek, like I've been saying, like for honestly, all those shows, they're just okay to me. They're just okay. They're not worth watching. I wouldn't recommend them, but like compared to what I consider to be like the golden Cartoon Network shows, the S tier, the Cartoon Network shows that are personally S tier for me, like Regular Show, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Adventure Time, Gumball, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Compared to those shows, I would consider them to be F tier, like pretty bad shows. Ugh. But again, guys, I haven't seen every late 2010s Cartoon Network show, so yeah, I can imagine me seeing more of one of the late 2010s Cartoon Network shows that I consider to be all right, or like watching some late 2010s Cartoon Network show I haven't seen before, and all of a sudden falling in love with them. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But as of right now, there's no late 2010s Cartoon Network show there's like no late 2010s Cartoon Network show that I consider to be like a big massive fan of. Like the Cartoon Network shows I love, like really love. I really love. You can find those like from like the late 90s. Probably like the late 90s, at least the late 90s, or and maybe a bit before the late 90s. But yeah, the Cartoon Network originals I love. You guys can find those like from like the late 90s all the way up to early 2010s. And yeah, that does say a lot, since that covers most of Cartoon Network's runs so far. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Cartoon Network, but like I'm not like the biggest fan of their like late 2010 stuff, and I'm a big fan of Cartoon Network, but when it comes to late 2010 stuff, I don't think any of the shows like reach above like A tier, or maybe at least S tier. But that's just my opinion, and like I've already said multiple times in this video, I haven't seen every late 2010s Cartoon Network show, and yeah, I'll let you guys know if my opinion changes on that, because I would like to let you guys know if when my opinion changes over time. And I can be a pretty big flip-flopper with my opinion, so yeah, I can't imagine this opinion changing at some point in the future, especially looking at how much I love cartoons, and I love Cartoon Network whatnot. I'm a big fan of cartoons, whether they're like early cartoons or late cartoons. I still really, really enjoy cartoons, like anime and live action shows. Those shows are cool, but not as great. But in my opinion, not as great as cartoons. Cartoons over anime and live action shows any day, if you ask me. Although anime and live action shows are still cool too, but for me, not as great as cartoons. But yeah, that's my opinion. That's all, guys. What do you guys think of Craig of the Creek? If you guys have an opinion on Craig of the Creek, you guys can share it to me in the comment section down below if you want. And that's all for this video. You guys. Maybe I'll watch more of the show to have more of a fair, so I can have more of a fair opinion on it. But for what I've seen so far, it's just okay. I've seen some people who really love Craig of the Creek, and I can see why people would love Craig of the Creek. If you love Craig of the Creek, that's fine. That's your opinion. I can see why people would love Craig of the Creek. But if you hate it, then again, that's fine. It's your opinion. And yeah, maybe I could also understand why people would hate it as well. But I definitely wouldn't understand it as much as I do with why people would love Craig of the Creek. But yeah, what do you guys think of Craig of the Creek? What do you guys think of Craig of the Creek? You guys can tell me what your thoughts are on Craig of the Creek in the comment section down below if you want. And yeah, that's about it for this video, you guys. Bye, everyone, and thank you all for watching this video.